Do you ever wonder why you always feel empty, even when surrounded by people? Why do your emotions seem to have no room to exist? Why do you constantly diminish yourself to please others, as if your very existence were a burden? The answer might be hidden in the first mirror of your life, on your mother's gaze. But not just any gaze. The gaze of a mother who turned you into an extension of herself, who used her love as a bargaining chip, who made you the guardian of her own unhealed wounds. There's a hidden pattern, an invisible dynamic that shaped your way of existing in the world. Carl Jung, the pioneer of depth psychology, had the courage to descend into the depths of the human psyche and discover something unsettling: the family shadow. He realized that often what we call love is in fact a narcissistic projection, and when this projection comes from the mother, it deforms the child from the deepest core of their being. Jung understood that within every family there's an unconscious theater, where roles are distributed without anyone realizing it, and some children receive the heaviest role of all, to be the mirror reflecting maternal grandiosity, the vessel absorbing her pain, the child who disappears so the mother can exist. But what Jung discovered about this dynamic completely changes how you understand your own story, and reveals why you still carry wounds you didn't even know existed. Look at me now. Look deep. How many times have you felt you didn't have the right to fully exist? How many times have you swallowed your own needs so as not to bother anyone? How many times have you felt guilty for having feelings, desires, dreams that didn't align with what was expected of you? Do you recognize this feeling of being a ghost in your own life? Of always being in the background, always taking care of others, always sacrificing yourself, as if your only function were to serve? As you grew up, something within you was being erased. Your voice was being silenced. Your essence was being molded to fit the mold the maternal wound needed. And you didn't even notice, because for a child, the mother is the whole world. Now, as an adult, you get lost in relationships. You don't know who you are when you're not taking care of someone. You feel invisible, disposable, as if your only function were to absorb the pain of others and reflect their light. As you run from this truth, it chases you in every relationship. As you deny this wound, it bleeds in every attempt at love. As long as you don't recognize the pattern, you keep repeating it, attracting people who will treat you just as your mother treated you. Your true self, that unique essence you brought into being, is buried under layers of adaptation, survival masks, programmed self-erasure. Do you recognize this pain? It's because you were shaped by this pattern. And today, you're going to understand exactly how it works, and how to recognize it to break free from it once and for all. To understand these signs, you need to grasp what truly happens in the dynamic between a narcissistic mother and her child. Maternal narcissism isn't just selfishness or vanity. It's a deep wound in the mother's psyche that prevents her from seeing her child as a separate being, with their own needs and identity. To her, the child is an extension of herself, an object meant to reflect her grandiosity, validate her importance, and heal her emotional wounds. Jung would call such a mother a black sun, a force that should nurture and illuminate, but instead consumes all light around it. She functions like an emotional black hole that sucks the child's vital energy to feed her own inner emptiness. The child, in turn, develops what Jung described as a survival persona, an adaptive mask that ensures the mother's love, or what appears to be love. They learn that they only exist when serving maternal purposes, that they only have value when reflecting the image the mother needs to see. This dynamic creates a perverse inversion. Instead of the mother nurturing the development of the child's individuality, she uses them as a mirror for her own narcissistic wound. The child grows up not knowing their true self, but only the masks they learned to wear to survive conditional love. And here are the 3 deepest signs that this dynamic shaped your life from the very beginning. First sign: you existed only as an extension of her. Look at your childhood with adult eyes. Could your mother see you as a separate being from her? Or were you treated as a projection of her dreams, fears, and needs? The narcissistic mother cannot tolerate her child being different from her. If you liked art and she valued sports, your passion was invalidated. If you were an introvert and she was an extrovert, your nature was corrected. If you cried, you were too sensitive. If you expressed joy, you were over the top. She needed you to be the perfect child, not for you, but for the image she had of herself as a mother. Your successes were hers. Your failures were threats to her reputation. You weren't allowed to fail, because that would mean she had failed. Jung understood that individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are, begins in childhood, when parents recognize and nurture the child's uniqueness. But you were forced to exist as a narcissistic extension. Your function was to reflect maternal grandiosity, validate her choices, heal her wounds. You learned that your only way to receive love was by being who she needed you to be. And so, you betrayed yourself before you even knew who you were. Second sign, your emotions were systematically invalidated. Think back. When you felt fear, anger, sadness, or even joy, were your emotions accepted, or did you learn they were wrong? The narcissistic mother can't handle her child's authentic emotions because they threaten her need for control. She needs you to feel only what's convenient for her. If you were sad, you were dramatic. If you were angry, you were ungrateful. If you were too happy, you were out of control. Your emotions were constantly reinterpreted, minimized, or turned into something about her. You're angry. Look how you hurt me. You're sad? I should be sad, after everything I've done for you. Jung knew that emotions are the language of the psyche, the way our unconscious communicates with us. But you were taught that your inner language was wrong, that your feelings were inconvenient, that your emotional experience had no value. You learned to distrust your own heart. You learned that your emotions were dangerous, that they could be used against you. And so you disconnected from your own inner wisdom, the only compass capable of guiding you back to your true self. Third sign, you were parentified, forced to emotionally care for her. This is the most devastating sign, what Jung would call an archetypal inversion. Look at your past. You were the child, but who was really taking care of whom? The narcissistic mother unconsciously casts the child in the role of emotional parent. She shares problems the child shouldn't know. She seeks emotional validation from the child. She makes the child feel responsible for her happiness, her self-esteem, even her sanity. If you love me, you'll do this. You're the only one who understands me. If it weren't for you, I would have given up on everything by now.
Have you heard phrases like these? They are the invisible shackles of parentification. You learned that your worth lay in caring for others, in being useful, in carrying burdens that weren't yours. You learned that your needs came after everyone else's, that your role in the world was to be the healer, the savior, the one who sacrifices.
Jung understood that when a child is forced to assume emotional responsibilities for their parents, they lose connection with their own childhood, and consequently, with their spontaneity, creativity, and capacity to receive care. You became an adult without ever having been a child. You became a caregiver without ever having been cared for. And now, even as an adult, you continue to attract people who need to be saved, who need your energy, who turn you into the parent they never had. These three signs don't appear in isolation. They intertwine in a toxic dance that completely shaped your way of existing in the world. You were programmed to be a mirror, a healer, an extension, never a complete being in your own right. Now that you recognize these signs, how do you break this pattern once and for all? The first tool is what Jung called confrontation with the shadow, but applied to your family history. You need to have the courage to look directly at the truth about your mother, without romanticizing, without justifying, without minimizing. Grab a notebook, sit in a quiet place, and write a letter to your inner child, that part of you that was sacrificed to maintain maternal love. Start like this. Dear child, today I recognize that you were wounded. Today I validate your pain. Then, dialogue with them. What emotions couldn't you feel? Let them respond through your automatic writing. What care did you need and not receive? Listen with compassion. What were your dreams before you learned they didn't matter? Allow them to dream again. Now confront the truth. My mother couldn't see me. She used me to heal her own wounds. This wasn't my fault, I was just a child. And finally, make a promise. I will learn to see myself. I will learn to feel my emotions. I will learn to put my needs first. I will become the parent I always needed. This isn't forgiveness therapy. This is truth therapy. Jung understood that real healing only happens when we stop denying our pain and start honoring it as a portal to our deepest strength. You can't unsee what you've just seen. The three signs are now lanterns illuminating your personal story. You can no longer pretend that dynamic was normal. You can no longer accept relationships that reproduce that pattern. Recognize yourself. You are no longer the child who needed to disappear to receive love. You are now the conscious observer of your own story. You are the archaeologist of your own psyche. You are the healer of your own wounds. Integrate this truth. The wound your mother caused in you is also the portal to your greatest strength, because those who were forced to disappear develop a unique sensitivity to recognize the pain of others. Those who were parentified carry a natural healer within them. Those who were used as a mirror can become the guide who helps others find themselves. You are no longer anyone's extension. You are the living expression of your true self. You are the protagonist of your own individuation journey. Comment which of the 3 signs impacted you the most. Which one made you recognize a pattern that was hidden in your story? Like this video if you had the courage to look at this truth. If you chose awareness instead of denial. Subscribe to continue this journey back to your authentic self. To learn to exist as yourself, not as anyone's reflection. The wound was the beginning. Awareness is the means. Integration is the destination. The journey back to yourself has begun.